Alright, it is the 22nd of March, the year 2024. Glad to have you tuned in to Kutv and you'll experience this wonderful evening. This is Kutv Primetime News. Our reporters have been about and up running around, interacting with different issues and different stories. They have brought you different stories, of course, and here are the top ones. Candle lighting ceremony in honor of the fallen comrades at Kenyata University, Bishop Square. Nationwide doctor strike enters day 9 today as they insist that they will down their tools until the government listens. Government to transfer remaining devolved functions from national to county governments. This is KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin. Alright, welcome to the broadcast. We begin. Now, hundreds of Kenyata University students, led by their Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, this afternoon gathered at the Kenyata University Funeral Home to view and pay their respects for the departed souls. The 11 perished in a tragic road accident along the Nairobi-Mombasa highway, and later on the students proceeded to a commemorative walk to the Bishop Square for the candle lighting vigil. While paying his respects during the body viewing exercise, the Kenyata University Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul K. Wainaina, commended the Kenyata University fraternity for their immense support towards the family and friends of the departed. A memorial service will be held on Sunday within the university.
I want to tell you, on Tuesday, it was very difficult for me going through looking at 11 fine people who are completely immobile. But I'm comforted that what happened is really God's will. I know what we can do as comrades is really to be there for them. Be there for them. Be there for the families, you can imagine. And also not to forget that there are about 17 students who are hospitalized. I know what I'm telling those students is that we are there for them.
God is always good in all situations. I remember meeting a number of relatives on Monday night and Tuesday at Voi, and what a tough time it was just to disclose the news. One thing we agreed, all of us, we never forget to say that God remains faithful. We're grateful for what we've continued to do as a university, standing together and supporting each other.
All right, just to brief you that KU, Kenyata University, and you should know by now that this station is being broadcast from Kenyata University. We are in mourning this particular week, and we shall continue to inform you on what continues to happen in this week that is hard and sad for the staff and the students of Kenyata University. So we go to another story where the nationwide doctor strike entered day 9 today after the talks to end the strike chaired by head of public service Felix Kosgei, Ministry of Health officials, Labor and Public Services Cabinet Secretary, hid a dead rock. Now the doctors are now demanding the resignation of Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha.
9 days and counting. The slogans and chanting goes on. Their message is pretty clear. Holding up banners and blowing whistles, the doctors say they are demanding, among other issues, better pay and posting of interns. This, they say, are their irreducible minimum. Days of talks between the government and Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union to end strike have delivered nothing but stalemate. Ministry of Health had in previous response to doctors said posting and payment of interns would require 4.9 billion, funds that Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha says her ministry does not have. The doctors insist the strike must go on. Doctors maintain that they will not cede ground until the government meets their demand. As strike continues in different parts of the country, the state of healthcare itself is ailing. Most patients have been left at the mercy of a few available working nurses.
Well, most private hospitals are open and they're taking care of patients. I wouldn't say that we've seen a decrease. We have actually seen a little bit of an increase because patients who are not able to access the public facilities are able to come to us.
Auma Evans for KUTV, Nairobi.
All right, we move on, and the government is working closely with the county governments to ensure the smooth transfer of all the remaining devolution functions and assets from the national to the county governments. This is according to the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who was speaking at a meeting with the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee. As a second in command, he notes that devolution has thus far transformed the country.
The Kenya Kwanza government is keen on ensuring that all the remaining devolution functions that are still at the national level are devolved to the counties. As the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua notes, there is a need to protect and nurture devolution, saying that it has transformed the country. Gachagua was speaking at his official residence in Karen, Nairobi, where he held discussions with the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee. The second in command also noted that the government will continue engaging with all devolution actors to ensure its success in service delivery to the people who voted them in office. According to Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee Chairperson Kithenji Kirago, the committee is evaluating the remaining functions that should be transferred to the counties after consultation with respective cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries. The 2010 Constitution of Kenya is a turning point in country's history as it reconfigured balance of power by devolving power and responsibilities from the national government to 47 elected county governments. Dorothy Musyoka, KUTV.
And the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, has unveiled Kenya's grand strategy, portraying a comprehensive roadmap for the national prosperity amidst global transformations. Speaking before a distinguished audience of leaders, scholars, and diplomats, Mudavadi articulated Kenya's strategic vision with eloquence and foresight, underscoring the imperative for adaptive policies in an era of rapid change.
Is a necessity for the survival of our state, as well as the pursuit of global opportunities for the prosperity, peace, and security of our nation. A grand strategy enables the country to develop anticipatory policies that will empower it to navigate the dynamic landscape of the 21st century international relations. We need to be strategic in our foreign policy projection in this rapidly changing world that is said to be volatile, uncertain, and ambiguous.
In other news, the government will take all addicts to rehabilitation centers and cater for their expenses in efforts to restore their productivity within the society. This is according to the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, who toured Embu County today. Additionally, in Migori County, authorities have arrested 92 people over allegations of selling illicit brews.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has stated that the government will cater for the expenses of rehabilitating victims of illicit brew and substance abuse in the country. While speaking in Embu County, the CS insisted that illicit brew and drug abuse poses a threat to national security.
Na hiyo mambo yote ya bangi tunamaliza. Na wale ambao ni waraibu tutawapeleka rehabilitation. The government will take every addict to rehabilitation, restore them to normalcy so that they can go back and contribute to national development and raise their families, take care of their children, and become responsible people. This matter is no longer a social issue, it's not an economic issue, it's a national security matter.
As the crackdown continues, police in Migori have managed to confiscate and destroy 92 liters of kangara and 10,000 liters of chang'aa in various parts of the county. Migori County Commissioner David Gitonga, who was speaking during a security meeting, said 92 dealers are in police custody.
We've been able to net over 600 kilograms of bangi, 92,000 liters of kangara, and over 10,000 liters of chang'aa. We're doing very well. We've also been able to arrest 92 people, closed over 30 outlets, including 5 chemists and 3 agrovets.
Elsewhere in Gatundu, North Kiambu County, the establishment of a new law court has been hailed as a big boost in the fight against illicit alcohol and drug abuse. The area member of parliament, Njoroge Kuria, noted that for long the area has experienced increasing illicit brew consumption and the court will hold those responsible accountable.
Maeneo mengine kama Mangu, Gatukuyu, Makwa, kumekuwa na shida ya pombe mbaya, pombe haramu, madawa za kulevya, na hii ni kitu ambayo nimechukulia na nguvu sana, kwa sababu lazima hiyo maneno ishi hapa. Na hiyo ndio sababu tumeleta koti karibu, tumeleta police headquarters hapa kwetu.
Illicit brew and drug sellers have been called out for destroying youth's future, and they have been warned of incoming harsh punishments. Nisha Saganda, Kutv.
17 minutes past the top of the hour tonight on KUTV Primetime News. We take just a short break. When we come back, we have more in store, including a conversation that you don't want to miss on teenage pregnancies, how far we are going, and there's a new campaign. I don't know how new it is. The guest is going to be telling us. We'll be joined by advocates who are advocating against teenage pregnancies in our country, in our counties. See you in a bit.
Ndiye Yesu Bwana, wote waingie kwake. Lango, 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 hili lango li wazi. I am right here for your sake. Now, today we are going to talk about the beginning of a fall. But not just a fall, it is a fall never to recover. If you spend your time sleeping, na tumesema while you are drunk, your senses are sleeping. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. How are you doing today? I'm well in the Lord. I hope you are well in the Lord. First of all, I'd like to thank our Father in heaven. They say broken things can't be fixed, right? But that's a lie. Genesis chapter 3 verses 8. That evening they heard the Lord God walking in the garden, and they hid from him among the trees. But the Lord God called to the man, "Where are you? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whomever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Catch me right here only on KUTV every single Sunday.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
Folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa si vuguvugu. Pepopa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vilevile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyata University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground. Every Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. only on KUTV.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin. It's 23 minutes past 9 in the PM, and welcome back to KUTV Primetime News. Now, as I had informed you earlier, hundreds of Kenyata University students and staff led by the Vice Chancellor Professor Paul K. Wainaina were today paying their last respects to the 11 students who perished in a road accident that has really affected this particular university. And of course, later on, these students and staff proceeded to a commemorative walk to the Bishop Square for a candle lighting vigil. And our reporter Theo Masharia is in the grounds as we speak, ready to inform us on what exactly is happening there. So Theo Masharia, if you can hear me, what is the situation on the ground?
All right, many thanks, Mutegi. Martin, we are coming to you live from the Bishop Square, right here at Kenyata University, where students from various faculties are gathering right here for a candle lighting ceremony in commemoration of 11 of their departed colleagues who perished in a deadly road accident along the Mombasa-Nairobi highway. The Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Faith, has urged students to continue visiting them that are still hospitalized at Avenue Hospital, and even continue to ask students to continue donating blood for them in critical conditions. Well, it is just to be remembered, Martin, that just before we came to the Bishop Square, the students came from the Kenyata University funeral home, where they had gone to view the bodies of their departed colleagues. And even right there at the funeral home just a few minutes ago, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul K. Wainaina, urged the students to continue encouraging themselves and taking heart even in such difficult moments. Now, Martin, just right behind me, students have divided themselves in various groups, in 11 groups, just to commemorate and light candles in honor of the 11 different comrades. As you can see, it's quite a somber mood right here at the Bishop Square, as various comrades are gathering just to light candles in honor of their departed colleagues. And even a memorial service has been announced on Sunday by the Vice Chancellor, who says that on Sunday we will have a memorial service as just the last final service to see off the 11 comrades who perished in these grisly road accidents. Messages of condolences have continued to trickle in right here at Kenyata University, with students even filling a condolence book right here at these premises. We will continue to bring you up to speed, apace and candid with developments just from here at Kenyata University. As more unfolds, we will keep you up to speed. So keep it Kenyata University. Back to you, Martin, in studio.
Thank you so much, Theo Masharia, our very own Theo Masharia, in the grounds of Bishop Square this particular evening in the candle lighting vigil for the 11 students who perished. And earlier on, the university students and staff were paying their last respects at the KU morgue. And that report will be followed up by more reports coming to you live and reported from our very own Kenyata University area. And of course, we'll be getting to inform you on what's happening courtesy of Kutv Newsroom. Now, before we went on a break, I told you that we would be back with a conversation about teenage pregnancies, and it is about that time where we get to actually get into this particular conversation and get to understand what exactly we need to be talking about right now as far as teenage pregnancies are concerned. About 3.5 years ago, in the middle of COVID-19, right here on KUTV Primetime News, we addressed the issue of teenage pregnancy, which had actually gone to higher levels than we had ever seen in the past. And of course, that was a reason for us to actually talk about it and see how we can address the issues. And the issue of teenage pregnancies continues to linger in our societies, especially here in Kenya, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. And joining me is Catherine Namulanda, who is an Associate Legal Counsel, Strategic Litigation at KELIN. She is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with an experience in litigation advocating for human rights. And of course, we are talking tonight also about the Red Card campaign, which is working towards eliminating and reducing the effects of teenage pregnancies in our country by targeting 20 counties in the country. And of course, that is expected to have ripple effects to the rest of the counties in the Kenyan Republic. Therefore, let's get into this conversation. Be sure to talk to us on our Twitter at KUTV_Kenya, YouTube KUTV Kenya Live. Give us your feedback on teenage pregnancies, even as we get to begin our conversation now. Catherine Namulanda, karibu sana to this particular conversation.
Thank you.
All right, let's begin by you telling us who you are in detail. I know I have said a few things about you, who you are in detail, what you do for KELIN, and any other organization in your capacity as an advocate of the High Court and an advocate of human rights as well.
Okay, so my name is Catherine Amulanda. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I work with and for the Kenya Legal and Ethical Issues Network on HIV and AIDS, that is KELIN. KELIN, we work on and towards promoting and protecting health-related rights. This also includes on advocating for sexual reproductive health rights. So basically our work revolves around Article 43 of the Constitution, which is that every citizen of Kenya has the right to the highest attainable standard of health. So we do this through advocacy, through community education. We also do legal representation for persons who their health-related rights have been violated. Yeah, so we work in collaboration with other organizations in just ensuring that every citizens of Kenya enjoy their right to the highest attainable standard of health. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. And it's good to have you on the set tonight.
Thank you.
As we address the issue of teenage pregnancies. Now, allow me to talk to the viewer just one more time before we get deep into this particular conversation. The campaign we're about to talk is called a Red Card campaign. And I want to show you something on my phone. This is what a red card, I wish I had a real red card, but this is actually how a red card looks like. I know you know the red color. And or maybe, yeah, I hear that's the actual position where you're able to see me from your house and from wherever you're watching us from. This is how a red card looks like. Just for a moment, ignore that this is part of my phone. But that's how a red card looks like. And it takes me back to one of our favorite sports. Is actually called the beautiful game, where we see red cards being given. And apart from that, we have a yellow card, which is more of a warning card, and a red card in the game of soccer or football, depending on the country that we are talking about here. When you're given the red card, it means it's time for you to go off the field. And therefore, I just want you to have that in mind, just in case it's helpful in this particular conversation. And I'm going to go back to you, Catherine, and curious to know, what is this red card campaign? Does it involve anyone being sent off the field? What is this red card campaign in this context of teenage pregnancies?
Yeah, so the Red Card campaign was informed by the Kenya Demographic Health Survey of 2022, which in the survey it highlighted the number of teenage pregnancies in Kenya between young girls between the age of 15. So based on this, to the survey, they were able to see the counties which had the highest number of teenage pregnancies. For example, there was Nairobi, there was Kakamega, there was Kisii County. So through this, and the Red Card campaign was the highlighting of the counties were divided into two parts. There's one counties which have the highest number of teenage pregnancies, and also counties which contributes to the highest percentage of teenage pregnancy. For example, we have Samburu County. So through this information, the Red Card campaign is able to issue these red cards to these governors to enable them to take action to work towards the reducing of unintended teenage pregnancies in Kenya. So it is a call to action for this county governors to take action and towards elimination of unintended teenage pregnancies in Kenya. Yes.
Amazing. Just before we need to take a very short break, so that we allow us Robert to also come into the conversation. But just before that, you mentioned something very important that I would want us to address before we take a break and come back. You mentioned something very important about counties like Samburu, which are contributing to the rise in teenage pregnancies. Is this about the cultural practices that they entertain?
Yeah, so when it comes to teenage pregnancies, there are a number of factors that contribute to that, and one of them is harmful cultural practices. The Constitution itself, is the Supreme Law of Kenya, says that children must be protected from harmful cultural practices, and this includes, for example, teenage pregnancies or even child marriages. So when you have child marriages, ideally you'll have teenage pregnancies in this area. So we can say that harmful cultural practices are a big contribution to unintended teenage pregnancies in Kenya. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Just I think it's time for us to take a very short break so that we allow the other guests also to join us. Yes, and of course we'll be coming back with Robert Waweru, Program Advisor of Kenya Human Rights Commission, which is responsible for the Red Card campaign in itself. Therefore, we take a look at this particular story even as we wait for Robert to join the set. And now the government is set to open digital hubs in each ward across the country in efforts to enhance digital skills for the youth. This is according to Information and Technology Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo. During his speech in Nyandarua, the CS said the government is geared towards revolutionizing the country using digital highways.
Information and Technology Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo has called on the youth to take advantage of digital spaces and earn a living. Speaking at the Nyandarua National Polytechnic during the Jitume Digital Laboratory and Wi-Fi launch, Owalo noted that white-collar jobs are limited, unlike the opportunities on the digital space.
The white-collar jobs today are limited, if not non-existent. And the only space where we have got unlimited opportunities is the digital space. This Jitume digital program, Good People, is a game changer because it gives you the opportunity to start earning while leveraging on digital platforms while you are still a student.
According to the CS, Jitume program aims at impacting youth with digital skills as well as empowerment through digital jobs. The CS has mentioned that plans are underway to install digital hubs in all wards across the country. While speaking on the essence of digital skills, Owalo noted that it is a means of self-employment.
It transforms you from a learner to an instant earner, but eventually this program will transform you from a job seeker to an entrepreneur, because once you earn and save, you will have adequate resources to go out there and set up your own digital laboratory, and you become an employer as opposed to a job seeker.
Nyandarua Governor Moses Kiari attributed the success of this initiative to the good relations between the national government and the county government. The county boss assured the youth that the main focus is creating jobs opportunities for the youth.
The way we are working, the county government and the national government, the way we are relating, and our core business this time is to try and fight with the employment of our youth. And I'm happy that such a program as this and many others are going to take us places.
The youths have been challenged to use these digital hubs to gain skills which they will use to earn a living. Grisha Saganda, KUTV.
Thank you, Gracia Saganda, for that report. And dear viewer, we are back with this particular conversation about teenage pregnancies. And we are looking today at governance and accountability in addressing this particular menace that is teenage pregnancies in our country. And as I told you before we took a very short break, that Robert Waweru is going to be joining us from Kenya Human Rights Commission, which is responsible for this red card campaign. And just on a light note, just if you've forgotten, this is how a red card looks like. And I told you in the game of football or soccer, once you're given that, you're off the field. And I think Robert is a person that I'm going to ask the same question because he seems to, I'm just suspecting that he loves soccer. And so, Robert, karibu sana to this conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Robert is a program advisor at KHRC, that is Kenya Human Rights Commission. Just tell us what you do in a nutshell.
Yeah, so as you said, my name is Robert Waweru. I work at the Kenya Human Rights Commission. I am a program advisor of, among many other things, sexual reproductive health and rights. Yes.
Amazing. Karibu sana to this conversation.
Asante.
And we had just introduced it, and Catherine had done a fantastic job in telling us what this red card campaign is. I want to hear your perspective now that you have heard of soccer. Does it mean there's someone being kicked off the field in this campaign, or what actually would be happening in this particular campaign?
Yeah, thank you very much. As you said rightly, yes, I'm a big soccer fan. I'm a big Arsenal fan.
Oh, Arsenal, wearing some red. Okay.
Yeah, so as you know, in football, when you commit a foul, you're given when you commit a mild foul, you're given a yellow card, which means you continue playing.
Yeah.
But now when you commit a serious foul, you are given a red card. In this case of teenage pregnancy, we are saying these individuals that we give the red cards, they have committed a very serious foul in football parlance. That is by abetting these teenage pregnancies in the counties that they're in charge of. Yes.
All right. And before we took a short break to allow you to come into this conversation, Catherine had mentioned a few counties like Nairobi and Kakamega, which have the highest number of teenage pregnancies, and counties like Samburu, which have contributed to the rise of teenage pregnancies.
Yeah.
Why are these counties being red carded?
Yeah, so we looked at the statistics from the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey that was released by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics in 2023. And we identified the counties that had the highest number of teenage pregnancies. And we had two categories of these counties. The first category is with counties that had the highest number in terms of the teenage girls that had become pregnant. And that's why we had Nairobi leading, and then we had the other counties that are following. And then we also had the highest counties that had the highest percentages. So the difference here is that you'll find that a county like Nairobi, for example, they had 452 teenage pregnancies. But when you look at in terms of their percentage, that's about 8% of the population of the county. But if you go to a county like Samburu, they had about 200 and something, but it's I think 50% of the girls, the teenage girls in that county. So we had to have these two categories where we look at counties that have the highest number of teenage girls, and then also counties that are contributing per capita in terms of the teenage pregnancies. And so we came up with this list of 20 counties that were leading in teenage pregnancies. This is based on the KDHS statistics that came out in 2023. So we decided to call these governors to account. Of course, we acknowledge the fact that these statistics were collected before these governors were elected, because most of these governors actually knew they were elected in 2022 in August. And these statistics were collected in the previous year in 2022. But what we are saying is that when you look at these statistics, and even when you go back to the previous statistics, the previous KDHS has in 2003, in 2014, and now this one of 2023, the counties that, or regions basically that lead in teenage pregnancies are still the same counties. So there's nothing that has changed, even with the new leadership of these governors. And actually, it's a wake-up call. We are actually calling upon these governors to do something, because their counties have been leading for all these years when you look at all the statistics. So we are telling them, if you don't do anything now, we will still continue to call you to account and shame you going forward, even next year and the other year and the other year, if you don't take very decisive actions now to address this problem.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for those insights. Let me go back to you, Catherine. This issue is big and has always been big in this particular country. And when it comes to the issue of human rights, really, when it comes to teenage pregnancies, we are at war, like you had hinted, sometimes between traditional African culture, which encouraged even teenagers to get pregnant and to be married off at a very tender age. This issue is a big issue. What makes it a legal issue as an advocate?
Yeah, so I think it's because it leads to violation of human rights for children. So our constitution, which is the supreme law of this country, says that under Article 53, which is the article of the constitution that provides on the rights of children, it says that every children has a right to free and compulsory, it's even compulsory basic education. Every child has a right to shelter, nutrition, and health. Every child has a right to be protected from abuse, neglect, violence, which also includes sexual violence. So I think an intended pregnancy initially is a violation of these human rights. When these young girls are getting pregnant, meaning they are not going to school, to result in them not going to school, meaning they are not enjoying their right to education. These are young girls, even at the age of 10, getting pregnant. Are they getting the appropriate health care? Which also goes to contravention of their right to the highest attainable standard of health. When they are going to these health facilities, are they getting the appropriate health information? So, and also they have a right to be protected from abuse. How are these girls getting pregnant? Who is getting these girls pregnant? Our law is very clear that a person below the age of 18 years cannot consent to having sex. So who is having sex with these kids that is resulting in them getting pregnant? And when they get pregnant, are we taking action to ensure that they are going back to school? Because I think even if a girl has gotten pregnant, if we actively help, and if we actively educate them and help them so that they can go back to school and continue to enjoy their right to education. So I think it's a correlation of violation of different rights that is continue to being violated by us not taking any action.
Right.
Yes.
And still on that, you mentioned a few stakeholders in the life of that teenage girl that I'm picturing in my head.
Yeah.
And part of the action you're saying that should be taken is knowing who is responsible for this particular issue. So who is actually responsible for resolving the issue at hand?
I think we are all responsible. That is from the national government to the county government to the communities, up to the parents, up to the teachers, because even though the health is devolved, the national government still has an obligation to creating of health policy and educational policies. So how, if it's a shared responsibility between the national government and the county government, if the national government is creating policies, is it cascaded down to the county government? Is the county government ensuring that the teachers, the health caregivers, health facilities, are they getting the adequate training to ensure that these kids are aware of their rights? Are we as communities taking accountability, ensuring that the perpetrators of this sexual violence against these teenage girls, are they being reported in the justice system? Are these cases being reported? Is actual justice? Because as I've said, the law makes it an offense to have sex with a child. So if it's an offense, are these perpetrators being taken to court? Are they getting punitive punishment for their actions? When it comes to our teachers through the Ministry of Education, do we have a reporting mechanism for these skills when they go to school? What are the Ministry of Education actively ensuring that when you know in a certain school that we have a high percentage of children getting pregnant, are we ensuring that once these children have given birth, are they going back to school? So it's a shared responsibility that can get from the national government to the county government to the teachers to the community, even us, to me, between you. This is a form of awareness in saying that also these kids need to be educated on their rights. Yeah. So I think it's a collective shared responsibilities on all of us.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, my director tells me we have 2 minutes to the end of the conversation, and I want to make the most of this time. Yeah. So I'm gonna come back to statistics that we are talking about. What validates that on the ground? What validates that survey? And as you answer that, let's also stay on the ground. What is being done away from the boardroom now on the ground? Because you seem to be actually the man on the ground. What is being done on the ground to make sure that next year at a time like this, we are mentioning fewer numbers?
Yeah, so as my colleague said, this is a societal problem and it requires a societal solution. All of us, whether it's the national government, whether it's the county government, whether it's schools, parents, all of us, the civil society organizations, we all have to play our part. But I think there is one critical aspect that we have to insist, which is all these problems are actually contributed by lack of information. So it's up to the stakeholders that have the mandate, which is government, to be able to allow the comprehensive sexuality education for our young children, so that they can get age-appropriate sexual education. If they were getting that, we will be able to deal with probably a half or even 2/3 of this problem, because this is the biggest gap that is contributing to this challenge, of course, coupled with the other challenges. So that's, for me, I'd propose that to be as the first intervention. Of course, with other interventions that other stakeholders need to implement. Governments, as she said, at the national level needs to develop policy, and then people at the county level and ground level, as you're saying, they need to implement those policies and frameworks so that we can tame this menace. It's a big crisis. Yes.
Just allow me to put you on the spotlight one more time. You are the program advisor for KHRC. Are there practical programs running in these countries as at yet? Are we still in the boardroom? Are we rolling out things on the ground to actually curb this and
no, of course there are people who are there are many people who are working on the ground. For us as a human rights organization, KHRC, we our work is to really advocate and to call to account people who are violating human rights. So we don't do really work at the ground level in terms of service provision or service delivery. So, but I'm sure there are many other non-government organizations or even government organizations that are actually trying to do something in the ground. There are many CBOs, whether they are church-based organizations, and all these organizations, they're trying to do that. But for us as a Kenya Human Rights Commission, as a national human rights organization, our work is to hold accountable individuals, whether they are in the state or they're non-state, anybody who is violating any human rights, in this case the rights of teenagers, to be able to call them to account, those people who are responsible for that, and then those who are the perpetrators who are responsible, to be able to be processed through the criminal justice system, because this is a grave human rights violation, and these teenage girls need justice. Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Catherine, as you wind up, you mentioned something very important about the human rights. And you talked about these human rights in the Article 53, I believe?
Yeah, 53.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are the legal implications of us remaining silent on the violations of these particular rights?
So I think one of them is the violation of the right to education, because we say when someone interferes with you enjoying one of your rights, they're actually violating your rights. So I think one of them is violation of the right to education of these young girls, because this results into school dropout. There's also violation of the right to health, because when young girls as early as 9 or 10 or even are getting pregnant, it results in health complications. Their body is not even mature to carry a pregnancy like that. So I think it's also that. There's also violation of their rights under Article 43 and Article 53, when you say children have a right to be protected from abuse, and this abuse includes sexual violence. So are we allowing these kids to be sexually violated like that? And are we holding the perpetrators of this crime? Are they actually being taken to court? Because we have some counties where they do kangaroo courts, where even if it's a case of defilement, you're taking it to be sorted out by elders. But by doing this, you are not protecting the child, you are protecting the perpetrator of this crime. So we need to create even more awareness on ensuring that when it comes to sexual violence, we're actually taking them through the court, because the Sexual Offences Act has established very punitive punishment, which acts as a deterrence in ensuring that violation of children stops. There's also the issue of discrimination, in that we are having these girls are facing stigma. They can't go back to school, meaning they are being discriminated by virtue of their age and also the virtue of their pregnancy. So it's continuous violations of their right, even when we are not taking the appropriate legal actions. And even under the Constitution, under Article 24, it says that this, not Article 24, the Constitution places an obligation on the government to ensure that there's progressive realization, for examples of the right to health and also the right to education. So in the government not taking action through the Ministry of Health, through the Ministry of Education, that actually violating these rights of these young girls. So it's it's a intersectionality of violation of different rights, and we can actually hold these people accountable in violations of these rights. Yes.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I think there's an itching point.
Yes.
10 seconds.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that teenage pregnancies don't only violate rights under the Bill of Rights. It actually violates even other socioeconomic rights. I can just give you an example. When you look at the statistics, when a teenage girl gets pregnant, they usually get a second pregnancy immediately after the first pregnancy. So and when you look at the percentage of the girls who are getting pregnant are the ones that coming from the poor background. So this means that it continues to be a cycle. And then also you also find that a teenage
All right. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to call you back, ladies and gentlemen. It seems time has flown out the window. We shall be sure to bring you back, because this issue is huge and it continues to affect us. And one of my first questions next time is going to be how we take these laws and these rights to the Catholic courts and the Council of Elders in our cultural settings. So thank you so much, Robert Waweru, Catherine Namulanda, for joining us tonight. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having us.
All right, you have this. We are taking a very short break, coming back with sports in just but a bit. We need to continue with this particular news, and of course let's look at what is happening in the world of sports. And then in the African Games, Kenya's Nancy Jepleting clocked 1 hour and 14 minutes and 36 seconds to claim bronze in the women's half marathon at the African Games, behind Lohila Atalena and Aderao Gelao, who finished first and second place respectively. The Napoli City half marathon bronze medalist was the sole Kenyan representative in the 21-kilometer race. Meanwhile, Kenyan men missed out on a podium finish after Panuel Mkungo finished sixth in the race that was won by Eritrea's Samson Amare. At the same time, Kenya's men volleyball team, Wafalme Stars, stormed the Africa Games finals after thrashing Cameroon in the semi-finals. All right, it's 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Time for us to close this particular conversation. It's been a pleasure and an honor having you watching KUTV Primetime News tonight. Remember, the issue of teenage pregnancy has to be fought. We are in the red card campaign. You either toe the line or we will, because we have also joined that campaign as journalists here at KUTV. And we shall be sure to bring you conversations around teenage pregnancy. Very soon we shall be having Robert and Catherine come back to finish the conversation, especially on the places where our cultural settings affect this particular issue of teenage pregnancy and actually support teenagers being married off in their tender ages. We come to the end of the conversation once again, and on behalf of the entire news room headed by Laban Shaban and my director Boniface Odhiambo, my technical person Levis Ndomoto, Franklin Indenje in the technical as well, and Kelvin Dohyojeri in the graphics, and the entire team, without forgetting my wonderful producer Yvonne Kemuma, who has worked tirelessly to make sure that we get this particular report. And once again, may you continue to say kind words for the entire Kenyata University fraternity as we continue to mourn the death of 11 of departed souls that came across as a result of an accident along the Mombasa-Nairobi highway at around Voi. And of course, we continue to send our condolences to family and friends of the departed, and together with the entire KU fraternity. And until next time, my name is Mutegi K. Martin. Have a good night. God bless you.